start at 7:20. Oh, all right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. I am so sorry. This is starting very, very late. We actually came live not a few minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, and it happened that we were not live anywhere on Facebook or any other place. We're only live on our. Sorry about that. All right, sorry about this. Okay, so we noticed we were not live anywhere else apart from YouTube, and so we had to go back and look at what the challenge was. And all right, so good evening again. We had to go back and look at what the challenge was because we realized we were not live anywhere else apart from on one of the platforms instead of being on three platforms. All right, so welcome. We are so sorry for this glitch that we had. It's just that we couldn't even see it earlier on because we had to get on live for us to, see that there was a challenge. Without getting on live, we couldn't see that there was a challenge. All right. So welcome. Usually we'll have the show on at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, but we had to change the timing because a lot of our parents had challenges with joining us because 8:30 they are at work or on most people were at work at 8:30 a.m. and those who were not on this time zone weren't even there to join, and so we had people talk about the time over and over again, and we thought, okay, let's switch. I didn't want to switch because the evenings are usually family time, and so I wanted nothing to interfere with that. But then again, we thought about it because of course we are interested in getting this message to those who need the message, and it is more important that this message gets to you. And yes, 30 minutes and we can get back to family time, and the children didn't think that was too much. All right, and so I'm like, yeah, let's do it, let's move the time to 7 p.m. But unfortunately, today we now had this serious, setback, and so we couldn't even do the 7. And here we are starting at 20 minutes later than we were supposed to start. But hey, we're here. We didn't want to give up, and we'll have to go back and check and see what the challenge was and why we had this challenge in the first place. All right, we started this episode on Monday, and we decided to finish up. Since we started, we must finish. And yesterday we started talking about how I can support, or how can I support my pretty, my young child, right, to focus on their goals. Goal setting is becoming a theme. More and more parents, more and more people are beginning to set goals. I mean, some of us started setting goals from the beginning of the year, New Year resolution, and then we come up with some goals that we have for the year, and all of that. Yesterday, I talked about some parents who do not think that children should even set goals at all. And I said, if you are on that table, it's time to get off that table. All right, get your children to set goals. It's a good principle, and it's something you want to introduce to your children as early as possible. When we introduce this to our children, we set them on the path to becoming independent. We set them on the path, of creating plans for the things that they want to do or the things that they want to see in their lives, especially if you're from this part of the world where it is not a culture. All right, we don't have it as a culture to plan ahead and then put things in place ahead. You want to change that trajectory, you want to change that narrative and raise children who understand the place of planning and studying early. All right, so yes, baby steps to everything is very critical, is very important. So you want to start that, and you really, when we talk about it like this, it sounds like it's a big deal, but it's not. Right, if your children know that, when children make up their mind to do certain things, right? They make up their mind to do certain things and they see it through to the end. That's it. That's goal setting in the first place. If the child, plans to go out with their friend or go out for a play date, all right, and that play date is in the future, that's them already setting a goal. That's them setting a goal for a play date, and then when the day comes, they put everything that they need to put in place, and all of that, and they make it happen. That's it. That's them executing. All right. When they decide to have a birthday party or something and they do all of that, that's it. And then they execute to the end. That's it. So yes, it is something, and we can now get really very intentional about it, and then take it just, away from just the fun activities, and take it to every other aspect of their lives where they can actually, visualize and think ahead, right? Think of what it is that they want to achieve and go ahead and achieve this. And please give me a second. All right, and so they can go ahead and set those goals and achieve them. So if you like to see the first part of this class, you can check on our Facebook page. Just look for yesterday's class, and yes, you will get the first part of this conversation. When you get to that video, the first 45 seconds of the video it's silent, and you may think that that's how the entire video is, but it's not. Just fast forward it to the 45th second, and there you are. I started with the audio out and I didn't know for the next 45 minutes. All right. So you see it right there. Even on our YouTube channel, you can also check for the first part so that we don't have to go back and talk about all that I spoke, about yesterday. So let's jump right into it. I finished talking about, why our children may struggle with goal setting. I started by talking about the fact that some parents do not even think their children should set goals, and so they don't have that principle, or they're not applying that principle in their home, and that is on its own, something that you need to change, immediately, especially if you're a parent of a preteen. Your child is already 9 and 10, 12. You want to get into that space because it is a good time to introduce them to this life skill. It's a good time to get them to start planning and executing, right? It's an executive functioning skill. It's a higher functioning skill that you're able to create plans for yourself, set goals for yourself, create plans to achieve the goals, and actually go ahead and execute and achieve it. Okay, it's an executive functioning skill. So something that's really critical for all our children to learn today and for the future. So if you have a preteen and they don't already set goals, please start getting them to set goals. All right. And then we went on to talk about those who set the goals and are wondering, why do my children never take these goals seriously? Now, because vision boarding, and all of that is becoming a theme. So a lot of us who are intentional have gotten, into that space where we have introduced this to our children, all right. But for now, it is still an exercise. It's still a simple exercise, or just another exercise in our home where we'll be like, oh, we're setting goals, it's goal setting, or we're creating vision board, and then you sit down, put the things together, set the goals immediately, put the vision board together, put everything together, put it up, and all of that, and that's it. That's the end, right? It just becomes another piece of item on the wall, or another piece of item somewhere where it's there. All right. If you are not intentional about your vision board, and if you do not know other tools or other things that need to be in place, right, then the vision board is just going to be another decoration or another thing on your wall. So there's much more, right, to just, to creating goals, execution, vision board and all of that, than just, putting your goals or, pictures on a piece of cardboard or on a piece of, surface and then putting it up. All right. So I talked about all of this yesterday. That's why you need to go and catch the replay of that session. All right. I talked about what we do with the children in the mastermind circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group for young children and preteens. Okay. We're taking children between 6 and 13. We mentor these children. We work with these children. We help these children begin to lead themselves, direct themselves, And in the mastermind, we just started the new cohort. And the most part of September is going to be spent, with the children, setting goals and all of that, to tell you that it's not just a simple activity that you just rush in and rush out. There is much more to that activity than just having, a few things listed and then putting pictures on a wall, on a surface, basically, because it's not just another activity. It is a whole process. It is a whole journey. All right, and that journey entails that the child understands their why, that the child understands, right, why they are setting the goals, and then the child understands what area they need to set the goals. So by the time we take the children through the process of goal setting, we get to the point where the children understand their why, and we get to the point where the children willingly set these goals. And so when they now are in the system and they are in the process and they are a part of the process, as a matter of fact, they are the ones leading their own process. They are the ones setting the goals, creating the plans, and all of that. Then the children own it because they understand that it is about them and not about the next person. But it takes, understanding, and then it takes knowing how to go about this. And then after that, after you get the children to that phase, or to that point, there is still more that you should do, or that you get to do as a parent, and for us also as their mentor. Okay, there's still what we need to do to get the children in the space where the children are honoring those goals and are executing, and going through the process of achieving their goals. And these are some of the things, that we're talking about today. So now we're going to be looking at what you can do as a parent to support your child, to understand the place of goal setting, okay, understand the place of, executing those goals, all right, and what you can do for your child to embrace this and make it a part of them. All right, what can we do? All right, let me chip in at this point, right? This very excellent quote that says that a child who feels understood is more likely to thrive. All right, because it is the warmth of empathy and the nod of understanding and a word of guidance, right, that actually builds your child's confidence. So when we are parents who have positioned ourselves, right, to understand our children, when your child feels understood by you as a parent, when your child gets a nod from you, right, when they make mistakes and when they do the right thing, right, when the child gets a nod from you, telling them that you have made an effort, whether you win or you lose on this, or whether you win or you fail on this, there is the opportunity for growth, and that failure is, of course, a stepping stone, right, for you to do the right thing. At least you get to know how to do things differently. So it's about them, learning from their failures, and all of that. All right. So when our children understand these things, then they feel understood. When children feel understood, when children get that nod from us every now and when they have a word guiding them, then our children can thrive, because now they can build confidence. Trust is built between you and the child. And so it's easy for you to support the child. So for you to support your child who has learned to set goals, to support them to the point where the child now knows how to honor their goals and execute those goals, there has to be the place of you there to support the child, and you there, right, understanding or allowing yourself to understand the child. When parents actually put themselves in the place where they offer constructive support to their children, this helps to shape the child's behavior and then builds a foundation for the child to trust you as the parent. When this is the case, your child grows into the best version of themselves. All right. And these are the things that we're talking about in this conversation. How are you supporting your child? Is your support constructive, or are you constantly criticizing your child? A parent who is constantly fighting and criticizing the child, a parent who is constantly nitpicking the mistakes that the child has made, a parent who is in that place is less likely able to, constructively support the child. So if you are going to support your child, it has to be constructive. And when you are doing this constructively, you're doing this in a supportive way. You are doing this in a way that says, I have expectations of you, but I have not removed the place of you making mistakes or of you failing at some point. When this is the the case, the child gets to, it helps build the child behavior. It helps build the child's character. And of course, this helps to build a foundation for trust between you and your child. Now, what can we do to support our child constructively? What can you do to support your child constructively? Number one, I talked about this, yesterday a bit, and I said the first thing that has to happen is there has to be an open communication channel in your home. You must establish an open communication channel where your child can reach, and your child can, communicate. Your child can reach you physically, and your child can reach you emotionally. You have to be there, available and present for your child to meet their emotional needs and meet their other needs. See, parents, when we're not there for our children, when we are not supportive, what we do is we create instability for our children. When our children do not have our emotional support, children like that are not stable. Children who are not stable are unable to be passionate and ambitious enough to create goals and achieve those goals. So if you're going to help your child, create and take their goals seriously, then you must be a parent who is available for that child, a parent who is supportive to that child, a parent who is modeling also by setting goals themselves and then staying on and achieving those goals. Now, if you are this parent, it means that you would understand when your child is struggling, because if you set goals, then there must be times where you struggle with your goals. I know how parents, when parents in the mastermind circle come to me and they are complaining about their children and how the children are refusing to do the things that they should do, or how the children are slow in their progress, or how they keep reminding the children or prompting the children, and the children do not adhere, or the children do not do what they should do. What I do to those parents, I always like to tell them to step back, just step back 2 steps a little, and then look at yourself, think about yourself, and the times where you have been in accountability systems, and the times where you have been in places where there were certain expectations of you. Is it all the time that you met those expectations? Now, if it's not all the time, in your accountability group, if you are not accountable all the time, or you are not meeting all of the expectations, then it is only human that it's only human that you extend some grace to your child, right? It's only human that you extend some grace to your child and see that the child is probably at that same point as you are, or where at some point where you struggled. And so what it means is, it takes us to the next thing. You have to be empathetic and patient with the children. All right. So when children set goals, or when you teach them how to set goals, you have to teach them how to be fair to themselves. Okay, how to be fair to themselves, and how to, be empathetic towards themselves first. All right, so let them know that you have set these goals, but yes, you will struggle at some point with the goals. And when you do struggle, it is understandable. It is not peculiar to you. It is what happens, okay, even to the best of us. So when your children have this kind of encouragement from you as their parents, then they don't beat themselves up for not achieving their goals. Because yes, you will have some of your children, we will have some of our children who are passionate like that. We'll have some of our children who get to the point where they can drive themselves that much, okay? You have some of them like that. So you need to make sure that it is a healthy drive, because when we set expectations for our children and we don't know how to go about, we don't connect with them, right? So we set expectations for them, there's no connection, and of course all of the things, the constructive support that I talked about is not there. What it becomes is, it becomes just expectations. And when it's just expectations without constructive support, it becomes a lot of pressure, and it brings stress into, and makes the child become stressed and become under pressure to perform, right? Under pressure to perform, or under pressure to achieve those goals. So as a parent, if you're going to, help your child understand the goals that they've set, understand the importance of setting goals, and then have their staying power to stay through and see their goals to the end, then you must position yourself as someone who is going to support them constructively. And in supporting them constructively, you will have to be empathetic towards them. and you will have to be patient with them. All right, and when you do this, you also help them to be patient with themselves and not overdrive themselves or get to the point where the expectations that you have of them become a burden to them. When this is the case, it messes up everything altogether. So that's number two. Number three, we have to become that, we have to be that support system to our children by ensuring that we create boundaries and we create systems, for them to succeed. All right, you must create the system for them to succeed. So yes, it is their goals. They have set the goals by themselves, and they want to achieve the goals. Remember, you have taught them or you have brought them to that place where they are learning the principle of goal setting early. We do this with the children. Our 6-year-olds in the mastermind set goals for themselves. 8 year, in fact, every child in the mastermind sets goals for themselves. All right. Now, if you leave them with those goals and leave them to run on their own, then they are likely going to fail. When did you start setting goals yourself? Or are you even setting goals yourself? Even countries, there are countries who cannot even bring themselves to the point of setting goals. Setting long-term goals and achieve them. Right? The establishments who struggle with these things. So it's not the easiest feat, okay, but it's one of the most important skills that you can teach your child today. Now, but in doing that, you want to create a system within which the child can thrive. So, as I said, don't just leave the child with their goals to run with their goals. You want to go back after they've set the goals or before they set the goals to create a system. That's what we do in the mastermind circle. We create a system of accountability. Right, so we create a system of accountability within which the children will thrive. So it is the child's goal, it is the child who is going to execute the goal, but you have created a system that will support them. I hope. Okay, good. But you've created a system that will support the child to achieve those goals. Now, it is the accountability that you create, it is the enabling environment that you create, it is the platforms that you create that will enable the child to achieve those goals. Let me give you an instance. Okay, so in the mastermind, we have the children set goals in 10 dimensions. All right. Sometimes for a quarter of the year, we decide to focus on only 3 of those goals. But this is the beginning of the mastermind. So we go ahead and tell them to set goals in all of those dimensions. Now, I'll give you some of those dimensions. One, academic goals. So the children set at least 3 academic goals that they want to achieve between now and a certain period. There's always supposed to be a timeline to the goals because it is the timeline that helps them know or help them to actually monitor or to track their progress. All right. Now, in creating those goals, ensure that you create a system where the children themselves can track their progress, can track their success, right? It's very key because if they can't track their progress, all right, and there is no way that they can see this, then the end of it, they don't get the benefit, of achieving those goals. And one of the benefits is that the child is able to build confidence in their ability. I decided I'm going to do something. I did it. I saw it through to the end. And then that feeling, the reward of seeing something to the end. So they should get the reward. They should get the reward from seeing it to the end. They should get the satisfaction that comes from achieving something. And that's all of that would build the confidence of the child. This is how children develop a good self-esteem and they develop strong confidence. Confidence comes from winning most times. It comes from winning. It comes from believing in yourself. It comes from being, a sense of self-worth. All right. And there is, winning and achievement is one of the best ways to get children to boost their confidence and to actually think of themselves as people who it helps to build their self-worth. Basically, it builds the muscle that helps them feel worthy, more worthy. And this is not about, okay, it's not is This is not about, praising the child. It is what it is. Even for you as an adult, right? You have that project, you execute that project. It is the fact that you executed that project and you did well with it that gives you the liver, that gives you the impetus to take a project that is bigger than that one. Okay, it is what even gives the people who hand you the next project the confidence to hand you the next project, because what, you have delivered on a project, something before. All right, so that's a whole reference. That's what life is about. The fact that you have value, you bring that value to the table, and it's not just you screaming, I have value, I have value. It's you delivering on that value and people seeing and acknowledging that, yes, so you've got it. All right, so it's people acknowledging that you have it. Now when that is acknowledged, then you can't argue with results. You can't argue with facts, basically, and you become more confident to take on even bigger tasks because you don't destroy the one with small. Do you understand? You've done that. So that's it. Why do you think that, what do you call it? Why do you think that David? I mean, was David had, the liver? I mean, why do you think his confidence came from that? Made him think that he can actually slay Goliath. It's because he had slayed. He had slayed lions and slayed, beasts, and all of that. So basically, that's how confidence is built, right? So our children must be able to track their progress. So that's how you create a system. You create a system where the children are able to track their progress. You create a system where the children can create boundaries for the children to execute, right, what it is that they want to achieve. You create a system that will get the children to do this consistently. That's what we do in the mastermind. After the children have set their goals, we have taken them through the process of creating plans for their goals. We've taken them through the process, and we take them through the process of breaking down their goals to achievable chunks. All right, they break it down to achievable chunks and all of that, and then we get to work. In getting to work, that's where we begin to offer the accountability, where they have a little thing that they do every day that will help them mount, the blocks on those goals. All right, so I say to them all the time, achieving a goal is like building a tower. What does it take to build a tower? It's one block on the next block and one block on the next block and all of that. So because a lot of them, work with Lego and blocks, and all of that, they can relate to this and they can create this picture in their head. And so in creating this picture, they know that it takes one block and the next block and the next block and and all of that for you to construct a tower, basically. And so when children understand this thing, they understand these principles, right? Then the children are ready to fly because you are breaking it down in ways that the children can relate to. Let me tell you something for free parents. Because I work with young children and preteens, children do not believe and children do not internalize anything that is vague, anything that is ambiguous. Children cannot relate to it and they cannot internalize it. It's all over the place. But when children can construct it and create a vision of what it is that you are talking about, when they can construct it and it is tangible, it is something that they can practically feel like they can reach and touch, then that's the kind of learning that that is concrete. That's the kind of learning that they internalize because they can create a picture of it in their head, or they can relate it to something that they do, or they can relate it to their own experience. So that's why I say to parents a lot of times, because you're intentional as a parent, you say to yourself, no, I can do it all. I'm learning from here, I'm learning from here, I know what to do with my children, I got this. But sometimes, all right, those little things that it takes for you to take that learning that you have, all the knowledge that you have gathered, the little things that it takes to move it from you to the child could be the problem, could be the challenge. That's why you want children to start their own journey where they can be with people who can work with children in the way that children understand, with tangibility, do you understand, and relatability. So that's why we say the mastermind is a foundation ground. Bring your children to us in the mastermind. Let's partner with you. As you're doing your work, you are talking, you are bringing the adult version that you have learned, right? We are here stepping it down and bringing it in tiny baby step ways that children can relate to and they can understand. And that way, we are all on the same page, you and us. And then apart from from that, we put the children in a community where the children are growing together. There is the thing about camaraderie. There is a thing about learning from people who are like you. Do you know that children learn better when they learn from other children or people who are about their age? Why do you think that the Montessori system is such a successful system? Because the Montessori system understands the place of mentorship, children mentoring the other. All right, the older children mentoring the slightly younger children. That's why you go into a Montessori class and you see a 2-year old, a 4-year old, a 5-year old, all in the same class, because they understand that there is a kind of learning that is so easy and so authentic from one child to the next child. Now, these are the principles. These are some of the principles that we work with in the mastermind circle when we put the children, and we say that it's a peer mentorship and accountability group. And so we pair the children up. So our unique proposition in the mastermind circle is the fact that it's a foundation ground, and this foundation is built on solid principles that allow children at that age to learn. Period. All right. So the foundation is what we do here, and that's why children who come through the mastermind will be grounded because they understand the foundation. And so that's why we graduate them when they are 14, because at this point we know that we have delivered not just on what is right and what is wrong, we have delivered in a way that the children can relate to, and the children can take it tangibly and not just regurgitate what adults say and regurgitate what they hear their parents say over and over. The children own it, and the children take it in, and the children begin to make it child-centered. We make it child-centered, and children begin to drive it and direct it in the way that they understand. There is no learning that is that authentic. All right, so I'm going to go to the fourth. I have two more to share with you. Okay, now you want to also encourage the children to build friendships. You want to encourage them to build friends who are like them. All right, you want them to build friendship and pair networks, right? You want them to build the support or get the support of friends, and build pair networks, okay, and then get them into doing extracurricular activities. Now, through all of this, your children will meet like minds. They will meet children who are who have visions like they do. They will meet children who are passionate like they are. They will meet children who share similar values. All right, and even if your child is struggling, that's the more reason why you want to put them in environments like that, or you want to direct them to people who share certain values, or you don't want to pick friends for your children. You cannot. Sometimes in most cases it will not work. That you want to be the one to pick the people that your children will be with. Oh, you see this girl, she's so good, I want you to make friends. That's the time they begin to withdraw, because it's as if you're saying this person is better than me. So comparison of any way doesn't work, right? For your children, whether it's subtle or it's bold or it's loud, it doesn't work. So what you want to do is you want to place them in the right environment where on their own they will pick their friends in that environment, or on their own they will pick people that they will connect with and begin to learn from. And that's what the mastermind actually offers. So in the mastermind circle, we put these children together, children, within the same age range, sometimes the same gender, but basically the goal is to get the children to stay in a community of like minds, or in a community of the kind of people that they should be with. All right. So even if the child has never been in a community where children are already, developing themselves personally, in a community where children are talking constructively, in a community where children are already thinking of themselves as people who have a purpose, right? In a community where the conversation is not just Pokemon and games and football and all of that, in a community where children are beginning to talk about issues that are fun and yet meaningful, in a community where children are becoming resourceful and productive already. All right. So even if your child is coming from where the child has never heard that, the child will begin to hear these things in baby ways. The child will hear these things in children like conversations, and this kind of conversations become a thing for your child gradually. So your child begins to look at important things in the world. See, don't come, parents, that thing that people will say, let children be children. when people say those things to you, look closely. All they're saying, most people will say those things. All they're saying is, let your children binge on TV, give your children gadgets to be in spaces where they can actually be destroyed, allow your children into spaces that are not age appropriate, whether it's through their phones, the way they look, and all of that. So when people come with all that, let children be children, look closely. All right, the message is not really as what's the word? The message is not really as innocent as they want you to think when people say that. The next time someone says to you, let children be children, ask them what it actually means for children to be children. Because we are the ones that say, let your children get personal development, let your children play outside, let your children play, let your children leave the screen and play real play, let your children interact with people and have conversations, let your children learn social graces, let your children learn emotional intelligence, let your children have conversations about meaningful things, let your children talk about reality. We are the ones that say that, okay? And then someone comes and says, oh, no, 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 no. So sure, let your children be children. Then ask them, how will these children be children? Because most times all they're trying to say is, let the children eat pizza when they want to eat pizza. Let the children watch TV. Let the children have gadgets. Let the children. So what exactly is being a child? Because if you ask me, most times that is not being a child. That is actually forcing children to become adults, forcing children into spaces where they have no business, forcing children into spaces where they have billions of people who are without boundaries and without control and all of that. All right. So we need to evaluate some of these things, so that we know that we are not the one doing our children a disservice in the name of modernizing them or giving them the things that we couldn't or our parents couldn't give us. When you walk into a home and your children are constantly in front of one gadget or the other, it's the laptop or it's the palm top or it's the iPad or it's a phone, it's from one to the other, one from the other to the other. I tell you, the service that you're doing that child is not something that we want to start the conversation right now. All right. So lastly, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is you want to model emotional intelligence. You want to model emotional intelligence, integrity, right? Integrity, emotional intelligence, resilience, and all of that. So when you model all of these things to your child by being it, right? By being it, and then of course your children will pick and your children will apply this when it comes to them achieving their goals and achieving the things that they need to achieve. All right, I'm going to stop here right now. This show was supposed to be from 7 to 7:30. We started at 7:20 because of all the issues that we had with StreamYard and our streaming platform and all of that. So, yes, if you like your child to join the mastermind circle, as I said, we are still setting goals, and all of that, and we'll do that for the best part of this month. So, your child can still hop in. We still have some slots right open for children who want to come in between 6 and 13-year-olds. All right. The children are with us even when they turn 14 to the end of the cohort, and then we graduate them knowing that we have helped them build a solid foundation. So you have a child who is just 14 and still has a few months before, from now to the end of the cohort, by September, they're still going to be 14, then the child can still come in. But apart from that, if you have children between 6 and 13, then the mastermind is the place for them. All right, so you can use the information on your screen, just screen grab it right now and use that to get into the mastermind circle straight away. And yes, if you can also look in the comment section on Facebook and you will see that information or the details that you need. And yes, on YouTube, just check the description and you will also see all that you need to enroll your child. Apart from that, you can call us on the number on your screen 081-306-21566 to know more about the Mastermind Circle. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. All right, hopefully there will be no glitch this time. 7 p.m. tomorrow. We do this from Monday through Friday. All right, so we'll be coming to you with a different topic, a question that we have parents ask. How can I support my child? Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. Bye. Bye bye.